Okay, are we gonna eat? This is where we're at. Catching a red-eye to Chicago. One of the cities in the US that's been on my bucket list is the great city of Chicago. I'm particularly excited about this trip because it's not only our first visit, but my younger son will be playing in a basketball tournament. We're ready, and my boys are ready. Let's go. I'm off the wheel. Can you imagine?
Welcome,
early, man.
welcome to Chicago, boys. I don't know about what it is about me and planes, but I could never get some sleep in the damn plane. If I'm driving on the freeway, within 30 minutes I want to freaking nod off and start doing the chicken while I'm driving. But when I fly, I just get so uncomfortable. Not the biggest guy, but man, I still get so uncomfortable and can't sleep. So it was about a 3.5 hour flight. I might have got, what, 10 minutes, if even. But it's okay because we're in Chicago and fun's about to begin. This is one of the city destinations I've been looking forward to seeing once in my lifetime. So let's see what this place has. Here we go, SoCal fam. Okay, we're gonna take a picture. Welcome to Chicago. Michael Jordan will be by later, so for lunch. And Phil Jackson. No.
Train to Terminal 5 and lock at Transportation Center will arrive in 3 minutes.
Cool thing about landing at the Chicago airport is that you get to ride this great tram.
Train arrived, 16 coach long. Dum dum ba dum dum.
Next stop, Terminal 5.
Terminal 5. Be mom's on that side. Oh, second roller coaster, this thing. Right? It's going downhill. Baby, thought we lost you. I'm like, wow, that's pretty far, wherever we are. Alright, go get that car. Alright for the week. That's good. It's a nice little car. Just make sure there's no damage. Inspection. You see anything major? Heck yeah.
Despite of our rough night on the red eye
Alright.
and a risky drive to downtown Chicago, where everyone in the car was sleeping, and
It
me
looks kinda like
struggling
LA,
to
doesn't
stay
it, boy?
awake
Uh-huh.
and stuck in
Yeah.
traffic, we managed to
ride.
make it on time
What's up, boys?
to
Jerome,
downtown
Isaiah.
so that we can take the riverboat tour.
Hi. Yeah, snoozer in there.
The cool thing about this trip is that we are part of a huge group that is here to play on a basketball tournament.
I didn't sleep on the damn.
My sons have been playing travel basketball for a long time, but
Oh my god.
this is the furthest we've ever traveled to play. There are some awesome families we've gotten to know who are on this trip. It is a rare opportunity, and we are happy to be a part of it.
I know, is the airplane or?
Oh yeah.
I opened my Julie bag by side.
Everybody's sleeping. I'm like, can I have a double jack, please? What's up, boys? Wait, camera shy? Not Luke, right? Luke? Yeah, everybody's on this boat ride. What's up, local?
Welcome to my city.
Yeah, it looks like my city.
Feels good, huh?
Right,
I mean, everything is perfect right now. The weather,
yeah,
skies, everything's working out right
Except
now.
traffic is just horrendous over here, huh?
The construction.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's rough.
And I didn't sleep on the plane last night.
Really?
Oh my god, it was horrible.
Yeah, that's
I hate,
rough.
I can't sleep on flight. Oh, check that out. Look at all that. It's a barge with all that sand in there. That's a lot.
I have to say, if there is one tour you should take in Chicago, it should be a riverboat tour.
All right.
It is definitely a
Oh,
must-see.
look at this. It's a boat dock underneath the building. That's interesting. Okay, here's home for the next couple hours, I guess. Chicago Lakefront Cruise.com. Oh, we gotta go up on top. You gotta be up top. Power of SoCal basketball. Lots of people in here. Probably more than 50% are from Team SoCal. It's amazing how everybody travels from such a distance. Yep. No sleep last night. Almost stuck in traffic for an hour, 13 miles. My goodness.
For me on the 405.
These boys are all like sleeping in the back while I'm like struggling every 2 seconds. I'm trying to stay awake.
All right, everyone. So, good morning. Good morning. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Good. How am I? I'm good, actually. I think this is a gorgeous day.
Yeah.
So, welcome aboard, everybody. As Captain Joe just let you know, my name is Hillary. I will be giving you your tour for the next 90 minutes. How about outside of Illinois, but inside the country? That's where you all came from. Where are you from? Pennsylvania. Okay. How about you? California. How about you?
Norman.
Where?
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma. Welcome. Okay, who else is from outside of Illinois, inside the country? Just kind of curious what else we have. Where are you from? South Carolina. Very cute. Bet you got a cute little accent there. Anybody else? Where are you from in the white shirt? Arizona. Welcome. I like how you look down. You're like, So, is anybody from Canada?
happens when you run on Filipino
Staring
time.
at her is not going to telekinetically transport her to the boat.
Tell her to swim.
I know. We'll be back. Okay, great. Well, let's be fair. I've just done everything I'm paid to do. Tell you all about that pink building right in front of us. But what does it matter if I tell you that's a postmodern building if I haven't even told you what postmodernism is yet? Right? So I'm going to start you guys off with an analogy, but we're going to plug everything into that context, okay? So look at all these buildings in front of you. Think of every single building like a gigantic cake with varying amounts of frosting. We used to put a lot of extra frosting on the outside of the cake to show it off from the outside. So generally speaking, if you see a lot of ornamentation on a building in Chicago, it's probably one of the older ones, anywhere up to the 1920s. So an example of that, in the distance on the right, you see that low off-white colored building that has ionic columns lining the top. Does everybody see that one back there? Yeah. Those columns are totally unnecessary. They are not holding up the roof, okay? That's frosting on the cake. So that's gonna tell you it's probably a little older. That half of that building is from the 1920s. Then architects decide they're going to kind of start experimenting. Take away a little frosting. You get less frosting, until finally you get to just the cake. Just the cake is a style called modernism. It's super easy to recognize. Ready? Here we go. The tall black box in front of you, that's a modernist style building. As is the brown box behind it, the brown box across from that, the white box across from that, the black box behind that one, black box behind that one. And then over in the distance on the right, that black box, that black box. But wait a second, oh my goodness, look at the distance on the right, everyone. Tis a red box. That's right, okay, spicy modernism. But it's still a box, okay? So that's modernism, that is just the cake. And that's honestly fantastic for about 50 years. But you can understand why 50 years of that gets really boring. So then after modernism is the style of this pink building coming up on the right, postmodernism, which literally means after modernism. Postmodernism, they kind of miss the frosting. They just want to have fun with the cake again. So the main way they do that is by making a reference to something else. There's always a secret to it. So the secret to this one is all the way up on top. That castellated top is actually referring to another building that we're going to see on the river today, the Tribune Tower, all right? Now also consider this pink building, not any other building here, this pink one got a huge drum of 2,000 fluorescent light bulbs put up on top. Why did this one get the drum of lights instead of some other building? I'm going to pause for the noise under the bridge and for suspense. I'll tell you on the other side.
Downtown Chicago is simply a work of art. The intertwining of the Chicago River that runs through a myriad of well-designed buildings makes the city so incredibly picturesque. Despite of not sleeping the night before, I'm glad we went on this tour. It's a great and easy way to see all of downtown and get a good look of all the beautiful buildings.
Building get a huge drum of lights up on top. Well, let me put it this way. It's right across the street from the Sears Tower. And yes, I said Sears Tower. We'll talk about it. So who here has ever heard of the Sears Tower? Raise your hands. Okay, awesome. Hands down. Who here before about 4 minutes ago had ever heard of 311 South Wacker Drive? Not so much, right? So think of it like the Sears Tower is the oldest child, born 1973. Everyone knows her because she's the tallest building in the world for about 30 years. But then 17 years later, right across the street comes the poor second-born child. Does anyone else know what that feels like? Because I sure do. How are you going to get attention for yourself? Well, strap a huge drum of 2,000 fluorescent light bulbs to your head. That's how you do it. It kind of looks like a cake. So we tend to call this one a wedding cake building or a birthday cake building. But take a look underneath. From this angle, we can actually see under the building to our lower level of Wacker Drive. It's just known by its address, 311 South Upper Wacker Drive. So now you know what it's called. Now you know when it was built. Now you know why that's a postmodern building. Cone Peterson and Fox KPF were the architects. All right, so that's how we're going to do this tour today. I have a lot of information to share with you guys, but I do it in kind of a contextual way, so hopefully it's going to make a little bit more sense and stick in your brains a little bit better. Now, take a look up and to the right, because that's a fantastic angle on the Sears Tower, isn't it? You can tell from this angle, it's not one big black tube. It's actually 9 black tubes that end at different heights, bundled together. That's why it's called the bundled tube construction. It was a Bangladeshi American engineer, Fazlur Khan, who came up with that idea. It allows the Sears Tower to move with the wind up on top, up to 3 feet in any direction. You're also about to see all 110 stories of the Sears Tower in one fell swoop. We're going to get this view exactly twice, once now and once on the way back. This is our first one. frozen music. Isn't that cool? Does anybody hear a musician by any chance play an instrument? Right? So he said music is liquid architecture, but architecture is frozen music. So think of it like if every building is a note, one style, one sound, one note. Piece it into a composition like in Chicago, and architecture is frozen music. So now, we just exited the north branch of the Chicago River. We're going to take a left and we're going to head east down the main branch or main stem of the Chicago River. We're going to see a lot of different architectural styles from a lot of different periods. So keep your eyes peeled. Now, on your left, these 3 glass skyscrapers are all named after the river's confluence point itself. The river's confluence point is called Wolf Point. So these buildings are called Wolf Point West, Wolf Point South, and Wolf Point East. Wolf Point South is the one closest to us with the Adirondack chairs in front. They actually just finished that about 2 weeks ago. They just took off the plastic and the tape on the windows, literally. So that is called Wolf Point South, also known as Salesforce Tower, designed by Pelly Clark Pelly. Now over to the right, we're going to come back to this green building. Look how it's reflecting all the buildings around it. Isn't that cool? We're going to come back to this one. I want you guys to use your imaginations again. Clear away all the buildings. Just take them all away. And imagine a little dirt road coming up the river. It's got a few little houses on it. And then there's one big house directly to your right with a little house right next to it. The little house would be Chicago's first post office. The big house would be Chicago's first hotel. And if it were exactly March 4th, 1837, you would hear a whole bunch of partying happening inside there because they were getting together and deciding that 4,000 people is big enough to legally be a city. So March 4th, 1837, right there is Chicago's official birthday. And now to hand the microphone over to your next tour guide. Would you please have a seat? So, entering the main branch of the Chicago River, this is the first building I want to tell you guys about over here on the left. This massive Art Deco style building from 1931 is called the Merchandise Mart. And look at those 2 medallions on either side of the front door. They even say MM. So I always say pay more attention to the frosting on the cake. It's going to tell you more about the cake itself. So this one was designed by a very famous firm of the 20th century, Graham Anderson, Probst, and White. Those heads out front are called the Merchandise Mart Hall of Fame. People like Marshall Field, Aaron Montgomery Ward, they've been out there since 1953. An applause for the gentle rumblings of the L, short for elevated. Now, I don't know if you guys noticed this. We literally just took an entire bridge-to-bridge segment of this tour to pass by one building. That is a massive building. The Merchandise Mart is literally so large, it used to have its own zip code, 60654. In fact, the Merchandise Mart is so large, there are 7 miles of hallways in that building. Now we are about to pass under a street and bridge that is named after the late 17th century French explorer to this area. His name was René Robert Cavelier sur la Salle. We say La Salle. And just after that on the left, this brick building is from 1913. This gives you a good idea of how we used to build buildings on the Chicago River. We used to line the Chicago River with warehouses like this one. This is the old Reed Murdoch warehouse designed by George C. Nimitz. Now, I'm going to let you guys in on a little secret. Take a close look at this building. It's actually uneven. Count the bays of windows to the left and the right of the clock tower. It's one full bay of windows shorter to the left of the clock tower than it is to the right. Now, originally when it was built in 1913, it was a perfectly symmetrical building. About these corn cob buildings coming up on the left, and we're having to pause for a little bit of boat traffic coming through on your left, so I've got a little bit of extra time to talk about it. So, who here has never been to Chicago before? Raise your hands. Okay? Even if you've never been to Chicago, you've probably seen these corn cobs somewhere, right? Because these are super iconic Chicago buildings. If we want to make sure you know in a movie or a TV show or even a commercial that you're in Chicago, there's a few things we put in the background. We put the Sears Tower, the L, and these corn cobs. And then you know you're in Chicago. So these were built in the 1960s. You can see, because of the balconies up on top, that's residential. Underneath that, this is all parking, about 12 or so layers of it. Professional valet parking, by the way. They don't trust people to park their own cars there anymore. And then below that, you're going to see a little strip of restaurants. The House of Blues is tucked back there as well. And then below that, what is this development? Here's a marina down here at the bottom. That's why the whole thing is called Marina City. Now, Bertrand Goldberg, he saw people leaving Chicago to go and live in the suburbs. And he knew if the city bleeds people that by the suburban flight, it's going to die. So he wanted to make city living a much more welcoming, much more actually accessible thing for everyone by building what he called a city within a city. Put all your amenities at your doorstep so that people stop leaving the city for the suburbs and instead stick around in the city. He finished this in 1967. Now here's the thing, and it makes sense given what his buildings look like, that curvilinear facade. He said he wanted to stage a revolt against the straight line. Which he really did, didn't he? Well, you know who really, really likes the straight line, who was a huge fan? You guys are looking at the third tallest building in the city of Chicago. First tallest Sears Tower, second tallest Trump Tower. Third tallest is this one. It's called the St. Regis Chicago. It's a mixed-use building. So there's condos, there is the St. Regis Hotel, there's a little bit of room for offices and restaurants. And as we get closer to it, look at how the coloring of the windows, the glazing of the building is actually several different shades. That adds to that wavy shape. And that's where I'm going to hit pause on that building. I'm a big believer that buildings are the same way as people. We all have our best angles. Okay, so she's going to look even better once we turn around and we're approaching from the east. I'm going to save that one. And then that water was dumping out into our water supply, Lake Michigan. We had to fix that somehow. What did we do? We very simply in 1900 opted to reverse the entire direction of the river itself. Still reversed to this day. By the way, I don't know if you guys can tell so far, I do kind of nerd out on these tours. Proud of it. That's exactly why I save room at the end for questions. So if anyone wants to know how we reversed the flow of the river in 1900, ask me at the end of the tour because we will all totally nerd out about it. You'll see. Now that curvy black building on your left is from 1968. That's a residential building designed by Skipperay and Heinrich. It's called Lake Point Tower. And no, Oprah has never lived there. That is a big old fat urban myth. Oprah never lived there, Sammy Sosa did. And before we take our second break, you might be familiar already with Navy Pier out here to your left. Navy Pier was built in 1916, originally called Municipal Pier 2, but it was
This is the money shot. Incredible framing of the Chicago buildings.
Let's take some photos.
So officially with my favorite opening shot of Chicago, everybody welcome to my city. Welcome to Chicago. Now, we talked a little bit about the green windows on the right, so let's take another look at these wavy blue buildings coming up on the left. And you see what I was talking about? The way they're positioned, you can actually see the shape of these buildings so much better.
That was an amazing tour and an amazing day.
Wow!
Is the city of Chicago on your bucket list? I'm very glad that it is on mine.
There's stairs behind you.
Okay, ready? Careful.
1, 2, 3.
Hey, SoCal Chicago! Wow.
Let's have a good tournament.
If you like my adventures, please like and subscribe.